Hello Scapers, welcome to a Runescape 3 content review. My first video game review, I guess if it counts. I'll be voicing my opinion on Jagex's big XXL summer update of 2019, Anachronia, the land out of time. Before we begin, I want to point out that I am not familiar with a lot of the content in old school Runescape, so I won't be comparing Anachronia to Fossil Island. Everything I will talk about will be my first impression and overall opinion on the update. I want to first say kudos to Jagex for keeping a majority of this content under wraps. We were given little teases and bits of information to keep our interest peaked and given a lot of service information, but the meat of it was kept a secret. This made the update that much more exciting as players dived in headfirst without knowing what the bulk of the content was going to be. It was a decision that helped with the immersion of an adventurer that arrived on a new island and then exploring the vast uncharted territory. It's like being Columbus, except instead of enslaving and slaughtering Native Americans, we kill plants and dinosaurs. That was a joke. Please don't turn this into a debate. Speaking of debate, I'm first going to talk about Big Game Hunter because that was one of the big parts of this update. I'm not sorry. Big Game Hunter is fun. It feels like an actual skilling boss, something that I've wanted for quite some time. It's actually pretty intense mechanically speaking, at least as mechanical as skilling could be. When I was trying it out for the first time, my heart was pounding hard because I was just so into it. Trying to build traps while avoiding being in a dinosaur zone is mentally comparable to playing a stealth video game, and I can get pretty panicky at times. I personally feel like it's the right amount of difficulty, though I haven't played of it too much to definitively say that it's not too frustrating. However, there are times where I get unfortunate grass spawns or when I get multiple dinosaur instances, in which case I have more trouble, but it's a step in the right direction. I'm looking forward to future high-intensity skilling methods with higher risk and reward that can rival PVM. Though I had fun with the hunting itself, I had some complaints with Big Game Hunter, the first of which is that I don't see this as being profitable outside of the unique drops, since the demand for the new range armor won't likely be enough to sustain the supply. I really expected the new range armor to give new components that would give new perks to at least maintain its value, but I suppose it's still too early to say for now. I'm also looking forward to what Jagex has in store for the tier 3 dinosaur meat, because right now they don't serve much purpose besides being cooked to use as food, which isn't worth it at all seeing as how the highest level one only heals 2200 health. So overall, Big Game Hunter, fun new content to try out. The Anachronia agility course, in my opinion, is the best implemented agility course in the whole game. Agility is generally a disliked skill due to how much attention is required and how mind-numbing it is. You are literally clicking on obstacles and going around in circles to train the skill. Although the Anachronia agility course is still kinda like that, the course itself is made up of 7 smaller courses linked together throughout a good portion of the island. Not only that, but the course can be done in either direction. These features allow the player more freedom in how to use the course, as they can reverse the route or simply do a part of the course and just exit. This is important because of how the course is integrated into the island's geography and is itself a method of transportation. It is a great way of getting around Anachronia, and so the course itself has more of a purpose than just to run around in circles for experience. Although there are certain sections of the agility course that are slower to use as opposed to just running or surging on the walkable tiles, so it's not always the fastest method of traveling. Despite this, Anachronia agility course is still very rewarding and it makes it worthwhile to train. The experience per hour is comparable to Heaven agility course outside of Heaven Hour, and completed laps around the entire course awards a player with 10 codex pages used to create the new codexes for the double surge and double escape abilities. So this is a high experience agility training method while still being very profitable, though it remains to be seen how much codex prices will drop in the future since it does have really good experience rates. Anachronia is the brand new Slayer Master of Runescape located in Anachronia. She replaces Morvren as the highest level Slayer Master with a Slayer level requirement of 90 and combat level of 120. And she is gorgeous. No, really, I absolutely love her design. You know, based on my previous videos where I harp on fictional characters, it's kinda easy to see why. That aside, she assigns new types of Slayer tasks called clusters, in which she assigns a type of monster as opposed to a specific one. Like how the Anachronia agility course gives the player more freedom in how to use the agility course, these cluster tasks allow the player more freedom what to kill for Slayer tasks. Rather than having to kill black dragons for instance, the player will be free to kill any type of dragon if they are assigned the dragon cluster task. Anachronia is a great addition to the Slayer skill, and I'm glad that she didn't require a level 99 Slayer requirement, as that gives Jagex room for even higher Slayer masters in the future. While we're on the topic of Slayer, there are also new Slayer mobs to fill in the gaps that 120 Slayer created when Menaphos was released. You can kill them if assigned as a cluster by Laniakia or kill them off task if you so desire. These new Slayer monsters fall under two categories: dinosaurs for those who want the new bone blowpipe and its upgrade components, or vine blooms for you plant-hating vegans. Aside from these big additions, Anachronia brought with it a plethora of smaller content such as totems for weekly buffs, a new distraction diversion, Herby Werby, that rewards the new Urbag, and a great Herblore D&D for Iron Man, and skilling spots for mining, woodcutting, hunter, and fishing. My personal favorite, however, is the base building. There's just something that I love about base building, and it's incredibly satisfying teleporting to the base camp and seeing the resources you receive from labor. But the best part about it is that it is a huge improvement over the player-owned ports content. They're both management-based minigames that the player progresses in order to obtain endgame perks. For player-owned ports is the ability to make scrimshaws or player-owned ports armor, which give unique invention components. For Anachronia Base Camp, it's for passive global buffs such as being able to have the Slayer Helm buff or having an extra skill cape perk active at all times without requiring the necessary equipment to be worn. The base building is a nice touch of mixing gameplay with lore, since the player arrived in a new unexplored island with NPCs from the kingdom of Misthalin, and it makes sense that they would try to establish a base on this new island. I do hope that in the future these resources can be used for consumables, since I imagine that once base camp is fully maxed out, players will eventually have fully capped out resources with nothing to spend it on. Hopefully they can be put to good use without being overpowered rather than just stagnating at the endgame. I've briefly covered all the gameplay related content, but the presentation of the island is almost as important, and Anachronia does not disappoint. It is massive. On the map, one can see that it is larger than the entire wilderness. Although this is the case, I'm not quite sure if Anachronia actually has more tiles than the wilderness. The wilderness is a vast, wide open region, while Anachronia has a more tightly wound landscape. Don't get me wrong, it is magnificent and impressive in size, but I'm not quite sure if it's actually larger than the wilderness in terms of walkable space. But let's stop comparing sizes and focus on how gorgeous the landscape looks and the amazing level design that went into it. It was truly an immersive experience visiting the island for the first time, and even after a few days of exploring it, I am still in awe at how much effort was put into this great piece of land. And let's not forget the examine text. What really helps sell the aesthetics of Anachronia though is the music. I personally prioritize gameplay above all else, but after that I much prefer music over graphics. Graphically, Anachronia looks amazing for what Runescape can offer, but the music is so stellar that it just aids in so much more into the presentation of this island. I actually get Jurassic Park vibes from the soundtrack, which I am sure the composer uses as an inspiration, and that is a good thing. When it comes to video game music, I tend to prefer boss battle soundtracks, such as Gregorovic and Next Angel of Death's theme, but among the overworld themes, the ones in Anachronia is definitely up there. Anachronia is a fantastic new addition to Runescape, and although there are parts of it that could be fleshed out, it is still overall an amazing update, and I'm sure that I'll be spending a lot of hours on it. The island also has a lot of potential for future updates, such as a new PvM boss, or even the starting point for the rumored new elite skill archaeology. I definitely see Anachronia as one of those new locations that I will frequently visit like Prifddinas, cause there's really only one reason to visit Anachronia. However, there are still some quality of life and general changes that I'm hoping for. The big one for me are ways to make the regular loot from Big Game Hunter relevant, as I don't think that the new ranged tank armor will be in high demand for too long, as I mentioned before. Other than that, I would like totems to at least be given more QOL, such as a way of reaching them easier, or making their buffs last longer given how out of the way they are. I know that a week is decent already, but I personally would rather have less weekly chores to do. That's just my preference. I guess I was a little disappointed because I thought these totems would be permanent, however I understand that these buffs can't be too overpowered. I think Jagex really nailed this update, as I am having a lot of fun with the content in it, and I'm looking forward to any future additions that this island will receive.